Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this retro review, we're going to be taking a look at Turner and Hooch, the movie starring Tom Hanks, as you find on Disney Plus, ahead of the new series arriving on Disney Plus on July the 16th. So this one here is one of my all-time favorites. I saw this movie so many times when I was a kid. I've watched it countless times. Watching it back recently of like how things of like I think it's probably been a while since I've watched it, but I just enjoyed it. Kind of remind me of the whole like Tom Hanks in Big and the whole kind, but also more probably having recently, having now got like seventh-year-old puppy. There's whole aspects to the like, where they, unfortunately, when Hooch kind of passes away, I'm gonna kill the dog, and then of course you have the puppy at the end. And as I having dealt with a puppy. I completely got that. That was definitely the kind of thing. I was just like, this movie's been. This is like a 30-year-old movie, and it's going to be kicking off straight off with after it for the new series. But this is a movie I never thought there'd ever be a sequel to. I'll be honest, I never, or a reboot or whatever they want to call it. But I love this movie. There's whole aspects to it. It's totally stupid when you look at it. But because had you seen this one before?
If I had, I don't remember it. So this basically I was going in blind on this one. I knew the basic premise.
Yeah.
I think the only part I'd seen was when they did the Toy Story demo reel that Pixar created to recruit Tom Hanks in the first place. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's well put together. I didn't laugh very much at it, which kind of surprised me a bit, but it's a well-constructed story. There's quite a bit of drama to it. I appreciated that they didn't really dumb it down as much as I was expecting either. And again, of course, as you mentioned, they killed the dog, and I was kind of like, you don't kill the dog, come on. But they did, and of course they had the puppy, but I still would have preferred them to not kill the dog.
Well, I suppose it's that kind of thing. He made the sacrifice. The dog sacrifice. He fell in love with, and he's just a nasty. He's a nasty dog. Just like completely just. But essentially became loved. He'd made that ultimate sacrifice for his owners, and that's as a dog owner. That's that kind of thing that plays into all. Kind of a different, kind of that feeling of that whole era of like the 80s and like late 80s of those kind of movies. They haven't really been they don't do them anymore. Those are kind of movies that we just don't get anymore. Like it just doesn't work the same way. It's kind of fun seeing Tom Hanks so much younger, and him just shouting and just like, he's not a serious actor at that point. He's still he's just having a lot and that's Tom Hanks that we all grew up on. It was this Big, there was Splash,
Yeah.
There was the other the Burbs and all that. He was in the comedy. He was a comedy actor for years. He was a straight comedy actor, and that's kind of what and then he started as he got older, he wanted to get into more mature more stories, which is fine. As he got older, it's fine. But this is the kind of part of Tom Hanks that we all love.
And it's been a long time since I've seen him in a funny role. Like I think the last one might have been Big, and even that I saw like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So it's been a while. So I'm used to Tom Hanks as the serious actor. Philadelphia, Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, even slightly more humorous movies like The Terminal, where he's still not doing like the old school comedy, but it's a funnier movie. They're not like these movies. He's almost a completely different actor. Not after this, maybe after League of Their Own, because that was when he started to kind of blend the drama with the comedy. Was around that point.
Yeah, because I'm just like looking here now of like, obviously, he has had an incredible career, and I'm just like looking and just trying to. He's got that many movies. They can't even fit them all on the Wikipedia page now. They've had to give us a pay, and he has just I think we've got used to being in so many different movies. Forrest Gump was probably that point where he moved into like that different zone. Like you say, League of Their Own was 1992, and that's when they see that they call it the established star. He knows what he's doing. With him went to like Apollo 13. So he moved away from the Turner and Hooch, Joe versus Volcano, the Burbs. And it's funny because they say Turner and Hooch was the only financially successful film of that period. So for me, it's that kind of funny. Like all those movies were what I grew up with him on.
Yeah.
It's then, yeah,
Same for me. I grew up watching Big,
yeah,
and it's like that wasn't actually like a huge movie in theaters. It wasn't that big because most people know what Big is.
yeah,
If they've not, even if they haven't seen it, they're at least aware of the basic premise, and then probably a couple of the more famous scenes, like him standing in front of
yeah,
the fortune teller and such.
yeah. I mean, it's funny because I mean, my local chip shop on the pier on by the beach. I was there the other day getting chips, and I'm there, and there was it was literally there, and instantly, yeah, straight back into Big. And I will continue to say, and this, whenever I see this type of breed of dog, and I don't even know what it is, it's a hooch dog. It's a hooch dog. That's just when I see them, I think of them as a hooch dog, and that's just and it's funny because you know that type of face dogs, you know, British Bulldog, which I've got, you know, French you know, that all of that kind of I think comes back to that era of like this movie had such a big impact on me as a kid, probably from that point of that was a fun dog, that was something that, you know, and just loving this movie, you know, the slobber, the him just wrecking their place. And yeah, I think as a dog person, that was kind of for me, this was like one of those movies that just stuck with me and influenced all of that.
Oh yeah, it's I can see that where that would come from. For me, it was Beethoven when I was growing up. The movie, obviously, not the
Yeah,
composer. But it even you mentioning the slobber scene, I was like,
yeah,
oh, I remember that from Beethoven. It's kind of an iconic dog scene, as it were.
yeah. It's kind of weird now because like we had like, you know, like obviously growing up in the like I think the like 80s 90s, you know, we had things like Beethoven, the All Dogs Go to Heaven, you know, Turner Hooch, and then like now we've got a dog's purpose and stuff and the dog's journey. And I mean, you can talk about killing off dogs. I mean, those movies and like Marley and Me, I'm in tears. Woo! You know, you can kill off you can kill off 500 million people in Infinity War, don't even flinch. Kill a dog off. That's me. I can't.
I think that's why we like John Wick so much, because the entire movie is like, you killed the dog. Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
revenge. Well, I am totally on John's side here the entire way through. What was the movie? Armageddon.
Yeah.
Like they one of the opening scenes, they have the
Yeah.
meteors, the asteroids coming through. They make a point of showing that dog's still alive. That dog survived a direct asteroid hit. Hundreds of people died, but the dog survived, so it's okay.
It's so weird now, isn't it? I just like that whole thing of you don't, you know, you can having a person killed, the kid gets killed, and you're like, oh, it's a shame, and the dog gets killed. Like, it hits on a different level. It's just like it is.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to that. You can pick any number
Yeah,
of movies, you know, Old Yeller, Where the Red Fern Grows, all those fun ones. But I think a lot of people will be, what's I had the name, with the two dogs and the cat that get left behind, and they make the journey, something or other.
Oh yeah, dog's
and
purpose and yeah, all those ones.
but you get to the end of that movie. Michael J. Fox was in it.
Oh, the Homeward Bound.
That was it. Thank you. Homeward Bound. And you get to the end of the movie, and the cat comes back, and the Michael J. Fox dog, and there's that pause. You're just like, oh no, the third dog. Where's Shadow? Where's Shadow? And then of course he comes back and he's fine. But I think a lot of people in our age bracket will have that memory of like, no, the dog, he's got to be fine. You know, he was down at the pit, but he's got to be fine. And you could pick that for any number of movies.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me. Like Turner Hitch is just, you know, there's a lot of talk about obviously the upcoming series. Are going like, do we need it? You know, why are they going back and doing this? Can't they do anything fresh and original? It's like, you know, we don't know. This series could be in a completely different zone to this movie because essentially, you know, it's only like an hour and a half, 2 hour movie. If they've stretched it out to like a 10, 12, you know, there's going to be much more to it than, you know, just what we've seen in this movie. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Turner Hooch and seeing where it goes, because while I love this, you know, and I think it is considered a kind of a sequel because the cop that he works with from Die Hard is in the new series. And I think Josh plays his son. So it's kind of, there is that connection and stuff into it. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see how this will work. How, you know, it's not a major movie, but I think Turner Hooch is still always going to be one of those great movies that I loved.
It might not be a major movie, but it is one that people remember. Even if they haven't seen it, much like Big, it's a movie that's kind of in the public conscience. which is kind of funny because when you talk about Tom Hanks, so many of his movies are like if you haven't seen Splash, you still know it's a Tom Hanks movie. If you haven't seen The Burbs, or even going to modern stuff, if you haven't seen The Terminal, you haven't seen Catch Me If You Can or whatever. It's like yeah, it's a Tom Hanks movie. I'm aware of its existence.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool. I'm again just really enjoyed this movie. If I was to give it a star rating, probably give it a 4 now. Probably I think a 4 out of 5. Probably where I'd go for that one.
I think if I had seen it as a kid, I would definitely be in the same shoes that you were. I can see how this
goggles.
Nostalgia goggles. We certainly, I've certainly had plenty of movies we've talked about with the nostalgia goggles. I'd probably put it around a 3.75 for somewhere in that range. It is a solid movie. Like I said, I didn't laugh that much at it, although there were some humorous situations. It was more I related to it. Like you were talking about having the dog. I obviously don't have dogs. My cat's being rather vocal right now, but I have grown up with dogs, and I think everyone who's had a dog can relate to that. Like, no, this is your room. You stay in this room, and somehow they get out of the room, and your couch just is not a couch anymore. It's a pile of fluff.
Yeah, I mean, literally my dog is by my feet at the minute snoring. So if you hear a low rumbling, that's what that is. I mean, yeah, I'm in that zone yesterday. Suddenly, she comes. I was sat there yesterday morning. And she's sick right all over me, all over the couch, all over, and you're just like, no. It's just like cleaning it up, and you're like, oh yeah. So I completely kind of get, I definitely in that zone. But I really enjoyed Turner & Hooch. Hope you guys check it out as well. Let us know in the comments below what you think of it. I'll have to hear your thoughts. Remember as well, you can go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. You can follow and subscribe on all the different audio and video platforms. And again, a huge thank you to our Patreon and YouTube channel members for their support. They get early access to these episodes and makes all of this possible. And yeah, so that's just one of the perks of being it. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month. But on that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us. See you guys soon. Later.